Give me a green right slot. Spider 2 wide banana.
Because that guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Crap-ass Vargas.
Get the out!
What's happening, good people? Welcome to another Monday edition of the Philly Experience Podcast. Different voice behind the host today, as our very gracious, very handsome host is sneakily walking into the door right now. And in case you don't know who I am Tyre Hood.
See, everybody knows who you are.
Yeah. Oh, now you decide to show up? You know what? I can't stand you sometimes. I really can't.
This is almost the equivalent of the Geno Smith butt fumble.
I agree.
I'm sick of this.
Yeah,
All
man,
right.
we could have skipped the intro altogether. At this
Agreed.
point.
We could have just dropped right into it.
Yes.
All right, let's get into it. Let's
Let's
I want to
go.
touch on topics today.
Instead, we had to try to act like Max James, but none of us can pull it off.
Nope.
Nobody could pull off the intro.
I kind of did it.
All right, T.
Every time I do it, I'm still.
Well, I appreciate the.
This is almost as rough as how the Sixers have been playing.
Wow, what an excellent
Okay,
segue.
that was a great transition.
Yes, that was.
Like
Let's get right into it.
A+.
76ers
Yep.
played the Clippers.
Yes, they did.
yesterday.
Came within, 6 points?
At first they were leading, and it was all thanks to Mr. Shake and Bake Milton.
Where was this performance at
Career
the
high
entire season?
and an NBA record now. He had 13 or more consecutive three-pointers in
Do
a
you
row.
know how many times, week after week, me and Max have disrespected this man, and now all of a sudden he comes out and scores 39 points against one of the best teams in the NBA? Where was this at? Seriously.
Well, it takes for your starters to not be in the game.
Man, that's irritating.
To show you what you really have on the bench. And to top that off, not only were Embiid and Simmons out, but Josh Richardson got a concussion. I'm pretty sure he also messed up his nose. I don't know if it was broken or not, but he was out of the game too at one point.
I'm sorry. This medical staff has to be. I thought the Eagles medical staff was bad. Like, seriously. So let's go to this Simmons injury. All right. So how do you not see after a couple of layups, Simmons is kind of favoring his back a little bit? Mind you, the man doesn't have kids yet, so why in the world is he having back problems? But that's besides the point. We're not talking about that right now.
I mean, we all know that.
Let's get back to the facts. So nobody says, hey, let's pull the plug on our superstar. He looks like he's a little gimpy. Like, seriously, I'm going to need the entire Sixers medical staff. Seriously.
Get the out!
Yes. Get out.
Well, we're not going to go into my rant again about how he should have been set against the Bucks, because that's really a pointless game. You're not going to get anything from it. He was already sitting the game before. Why not sit him 2 games in a row and get him as much rest as possible?
And now they're talking about that if, he's going to go back for evaluation, I guess, in another week and a half. And now they're talking about the potential of him having a herniated disc. And if it doesn't heal, that he's going to need off-season surgery. Like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, herniated discs are tough. So many different things can happen to your back and your body based off of a herniated disc. And I feel like, man, if he has to,
You're always on your back.
If he has to have surgery and miss some time, that would be just a icing on the cake to what has been a disappointing season so far. I think with Josh Richardson also getting injured, another one of our better players, I'd say maybe top 4 or 5 player on our team. It was great to see Shake Milton score 39 points. His 3-point shooting has been badly needed. And this is a player that I've seen so far that's playing with a lot of confidence, especially lately, from beyond the arc. I've seen him, his form looks great. And I know that because when he's shooting threes, some of them are way beyond the arc. Yeah. And he's really putting a perfect touch, just the right amount of force on that shot to really get it in. Based on where he is on the floor, I think his touch is key because he's shooting from way beyond the arc.
Yes.
At the top of the key, he's shooting from that short corner, or corner 3, I should say. And those are 2 completely different shots. So he's really got a great touch going right now.
Agreed.
And now, listen, it's only been a couple games, but I was going to ask you guys, how much confidence do you have in him going forward? And where, as of right now, you want to like we talked earlier, right, about Furkan. He had 36 points, or 30 plus points in back-to-back games, and we were kind of discussing: do we put him in the starting lineup? Do we keep him off the bench? Ultimately, what happened was he got put into the starting lineup for a game or two and didn't have the same performance. So, do you guys think Shake Milton should be like coming off the bench as a sixth man, or do you think maybe we have to force the hand here because of the fact that we have so many injuries?
He ain't got no choice. Now he has to play. You really don't have much of a choice. And how much of this 39-point game that he had last night is a mirage? Like, how much of it do we believe? Are we going to expect him to go out and score 15-plus points a night and help this team get a victory?
Well, he had 19 points against the Knicks the game before last night, and that's consistent-wise. I'm not sure yet if we've seen enough to really judge him on how he can play to the most of his ability. Right now, we're just using him to fill in the spots that are missing.
Right.
It would have been real nice to get that opening road trip win. They definitely fought hard, but just too much firepower for the Clippers. Now they got to turn around, play in the same building tomorrow night against the Lakers, which is going to be another tough game. Obviously, the Lakers are one of the best teams in the whole league. So I just hope Shake Milton just can keep up the confidence. That's one thing I've seen with him lately. It's almost it feels like, in his opinion, he belongs now. Finally getting the playing time. I feel like he deserves a little bit more of the pie, so to speak, because we really need people to step up. Good thing he is at the right time, especially with these injuries. Now, with Ben Simmons, back to the injury thing, I don't know. I don't think any of us do when he will be back. But with those back injuries, and the nerve damage as well, I really wouldn't expect to see Ben back for probably, it could be into the playoffs, and I wouldn't be surprised if he misses the rest of the season.
Which is frustrating because this is an injury that could have been possibly prevented.
Yeah, definitely.
If somebody would have had the common sense to pay attention, hey, big 6'10" guy is a little gimpy.
Now, listen,
Holding his back a little bit.
I agree. I do think he had something wrong with his back. I don't know if him playing against Milwaukee would have, well, it certainly wouldn't have helped, or didn't help, I guess I should say. But I do think that if he didn't play against Milwaukee, then he may have a chance of coming back this season. I definitely think playing in Milwaukee did more damage to it.
All right.
And, with him on the shelf and Embiid as well, I think Embiid can come back.
Embiid's
for
probably
the stretch run maybe. But again, we're going to be a 5 or 6 probably. That's where we're going to stand, right? We're either going to get past. We're only half a game up on the Pacers, and right now we're in the 5th spot. So if we can somehow avoid the Bucks in the second round, thinking ahead now, I wouldn't be really surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we land, right? I'm trying to get, in my opinion, I'm saying, okay, what gives us the best chance to get far in the playoffs? I think if we play this, if we're the 6th seed, we end up playing the 3 seed, which is looking like it's either going to be Boston or Toronto, which again would be a tough matchup. I think we would benefit better playing the Celtics, but that's just me. It's wherever the ball falls, that's how it's going to match up, and then we would avoid the Bucks in the second round. So right now, again, that's far-fetched because of the injuries. And hopefully, the key thing here is our 2 All-Stars need to get healthy. And I don't want to rush anything when it comes to that, obviously. Josh Richardson's another thing. We don't have too much an update because it just happened yesterday.
Right.
So, we'll see what happens. Tanner, you mentioned the broken nose possibility. I definitely know he's in concussion protocol, which is probably going to take a week to 12 days just to get him cleared if it's just a concussion. But we'll see. I do think without Josh Richardson, without Joel Embiid, without Ben Simmons, it's going to be really tough because this West Coast trip didn't start out on the right foot, and now we still got 3 games left.
Right, and that's the crazy part. It's like you said, you don't want to hurt hurt our superstars any further
For the future, I'm talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it goes to my point of, okay, if we're going to be the 5th, 6th seed, let's be honest here. We all know at the end of the day we're not going that very far. So what's the point of even playing them? I'm at that point now. Like, what is honestly the point of playing Embiid and Simmons at this point? You're not going to go far into the playoffs. You're not.
Yeah.
It does not matter if you beat the Celtics. You're going to have to face the Bucks probably, or you're going to have to eventually face Toronto. Like, it does not matter.
Go ahead, Tanner.
Even a team like the Heat, first round playoff,
Right. The
is
Heat.
possible.
The Heat is going to give you
I
difficulty.
just don't see us really beating the Heat in a series
Exactly.
right now, especially.
Now, let me transition to this topic real fast here, and this has more to do with Simmons and Embiid, the way they play together. Now, this might be a little, we're talking maybe a little too soon to bring this topic up, but I do want to just throw it out there. The way Shake Milton's been playing, it almost looks like he could be a solid point guard. Not saying a starter, but he could develop to that point. What do you guys think about having somebody like Shake to play the point guard position, be able to shoot as well as ball handle and facilitate, and maybe somehow transition Horford to the bench and maybe put Embiid at the 5 or keep Embiid at the 5 and put Simmons at the 4?
I've talked about the Sixers not having an actual point guard, and I guess you can give Shake Milton a shot at this point. I mean, what do you have to lose?
Definitely better than your true backup point guard right now, which would be Neto.
Ooh, yeah.
So I think now listen, the way we play, we have a 4-out system with Embiid inside, and then even sometime Embiid pops out and we play 5 out. But this way, if Simmons plays the 4 instead of the 1, he won't have the ball in his hands more, and he can kind of play a little bit down low, maybe short corner towards the paint, maybe a little bit more.
Now, is he going to shoot?
Well, no, he won't shoot because we've seen X amount of games from him, and he hasn't done that consistently yet. But just an opinion, just an idea to throw out there, have Simmons play the 4 and Embiid play the 5. I don't know if that's going to work. That's just a possibility to see, hey, will this win us more basketball games rather than, hey, let's have Simmons run the point? Because, listen, Simmons has obviously played the point guard really well. He's a special player. But do you think moving him to the 4 gets us a better opportunity to win more games in the future?
So long as he shoots that ball. That's the only way that's really going to work. I think
so too.
I can't put somebody in a 3 or 4 position that's not at least going to shoot, 15 to 20 jumpers tonight.
Yeah.
Especially a guy like
we're going to need him to shoot a little bit more.
Yes.
At least to be respectable.
Like, I understand that you can drive and you can finish at the rim. That's cool, and it looks like that you've increased your free throw percentage. But at the same time, if I'm going to move him from that 1 spot to a 3 or a 4, he has to shoot. Like, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
You could even try this. Now, a lot of people, I'm getting a lot of reaction, especially from yesterday, into this morning about how Al Horford could be washed, isn't looking like himself from previous years. What about having Simmons kind of play the 3 instead of the 4? Meaning, yeah, he still needs to shoot, but maybe he could shoot a mid-range 2 instead of the 3 and work on that more, and he can still have that ability as the 3 small forward to drive and get to the basket. Because, a Matisse Thybulle type of player, yeah, Matisse can shoot, right? We've seen that. But he also has shown the ability to drive and get to the rim. Simmons, all he would really need to do from that standpoint is develop kind of a mid-range game, but not even worry about the stretch, or use his size and kind of do that right-handed floater because he's strong with his both hands, and maybe kind of hit that maybe like that 8-footer, from outside the lane. Maybe I'm just throwing out ideas. I think then you would obviously need to have more guard help, more guard play.
Yes.
Josh Richardson could easily handle the 2, but then you would need a true point guard after that.
Yes.
Which brings us to the draft. And
we already looking at the draft, huh?
well, here's the thing. If this were to happen, and again, this is all just based on speculation and ideas to throw out there because as fans, we want this team to succeed and win. We're trying to figure out the best way possible to make that happen. Now, we have to figure out who's going to stay, who's going to go, and who's the flash in the pan and who's not. Furkan, he's going to give you offense. He's going to give you offensive firepower. That's what he's going to give you. He's able to shoot, able to get to the line, draw fouls, and make free throws. But we'll see from Shake Milton. It's a wait-and-see approach. That's how I see it. We'll see. It's a wait-and-see. But again, if you're going to divvy up different positions and change the roles of this team, we're not going to have a high draft pick. We know that.
Yeah,
it's going to be later on. We got to find a diamond in the rough, and maybe we found that with Shake Milton.
Yeah, possibly. I hope so. I hope. I don't wish no ill negativity towards him. I really do hope that he turns into an actual player that we can use for the future. I seriously do. But I still have to worry about my superstars, the guys who I need to rely on, and I'm not getting the production that I need from them. I'm not getting the growth that I needed from them this past year.
We're going to figure it out. It's going to be a sink or swim approach. At the end of the day, Shake Milton's going to get more playing time. He deserves it, and we're going to find out if he's able to compete at this level consistently or not. And he's going to get that opportunity down the stretch with the rest of these games, especially because of the injuries that have added up. Go ahead, Tanner.
Now, let me ask you guys something. Before the deadline came, we were wondering who would we rather keep on the team, Simmons or Embiid. And then after the All-Star game, we got to see just a couple games of the two playing. Who were you more impressed with after the All-Star break? Embiid had that 49-point game a few games ago. Who were you most impressed with that really dealt with what they heard people saying?
I think Embiid more or less responds and looks at that stuff and really takes that stuff to heart. Whereas Simmons is still more laid back. Simmons is like, I'm still going to go out and I'm going to do what I do. I'm not going to listen to anybody else. Embiid feeds off of that negativity. He loves it. He loves when guys pump him up. He loves when people pumps him up on social media. He loves when people, try to get under his skin. Right. He loves that. He lives off of that. That's literally how he operates.
So is this question basically who would you rather have? Are you talking about?
Yeah, after what you see, who responds better to criticism,
Embiid,
which is obviously
clearly.
Embiid, and I agree with that because last season it was when the Sixers were getting booed. Simmons really seemed to be affected by that, and he was actually mad at the fans for booing, while Embiid probably embraced. Yeah, I know he would embrace that, and he communicates with the fans during the games. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I kind of answered my own question. I think Embiid really responds to criticism the best out of the two. But my question also was, who were you most impressed with after the All-Star break?
Listen, for me, it all comes down to who has the better future, who has a bigger opportunity to produce for us in the future. I think with Embiid, looking big picture, the injuries, the body shape that he has at 7'2", is he going to be able to hold up for multiple seasons down the road? I don't think so, in my opinion. Now, we got to get the most of what we can with him now because that's just how his body's built. You know,
Agreed.
we've seen big men run down. I think Ben Simmons is a once-in-a-generational talent. I know that he hasn't shot the basketball, and we've been talking about this for 2 years now, and the frustrations that's built up. But
I'm sick of this.
I think Ben Simmons, he's consistent. And that's one thing that we can't say about a lot of people on this team. Yeah, he doesn't shoot the basketball, but he's consistent, and you know what you're going to get out of him on a nightly basis. Embiid, no idea. He can dominate like he did, 49 points against the Knicks. Here's my problem with Embiid. When we play a team where we need to show out and prove to the world, listen, we're here and our time is now, like against the Milwaukee Bucks like last Saturday night, or against the Celtics, or against the Raptors, he doesn't show up. He mopes around. He brings the energy level down on and off the court. Post-game interviews, when he's not having a good – I mean, when he feeds off the home energy, and I think he's a totally different player. That's one thing where I say about Simmons. He brings it both ends every single night, on the road or at home. Embiid, in front of the home fans, against the Knicks, against the Hawks, against the Magic, 40, 35, 50 points, whatever you want to call it, fine. All right, that's fine. But when we need you to show up against the Milwaukee Bucks on the road on a Saturday night primetime game in front of national TV, you can't show up. You can't show up. No, there's no Ben Simmons.
You piece of Swiss cheese.
He drops 49 points against the Knicks, and you're thinking, okay, sweet. And then Simmons not playing. Simmons not playing against Milwaukee Bucks as well because he tries to come back and he can't. Embiid still has the whole entire game.
Yep.
You know, and no Simmons out there, no excuses. Where does he show? He doesn't show up.
And that was the time that I really needed Embiid to
No
step
consistency.
up.
We know the talent. We know the possibilities that he has when he's in the zone. But for Simmons, for me, go ahead. All right, 1 second, Chris. Simmons, for me, when we need somebody to count on, and I know he doesn't shoot the basketball, but you know what you're getting from Simmons.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, we've been saying it for 2 years, like I mentioned earlier. If he can develop any kind of shot, I think that he could be key to our success in the future. Mm-hmm. Now, T, another thing I want to mention real quick, Chris. I know you want to add stuff here.
No, yeah.
One thing which I agree with you is Simmons not shooting. Coaching, definitely coaching.
Yes.
You have to get Simmons to shoot the basketball.
Yes.
I've said this before. If you're playing the Knicks on a Thursday night, you should win a game by 30 if you're being realistic
understand
here.
what I'm saying to you?
And who cares if you brick 7 threes? You're still going to win the game, and you still should win the game. But who cares? Just take the shot attempts and work on it in game action.
Yes.
Practice is one thing. Game action, you need that.
Thank you.
Chris, go ahead here. You want to add on here?
Let me ask you guys something. Where do you guys stand on Tobias Harris? Because we're talking about Shake Milton needs to step up and Furkan Korkmaz, but we're not talking about the guy who's getting paid a boatload of money.
I think we've all accepted, and we've gotten to the point where we're just like,
Is he just a guy?
Yeah,
No, he's just a guy.
He's literally just a guy.
He's, as far as I'm concerned, underperformed.
I'll keep mine short and
What's he
sweet,
here for?
and I'll let you guys elaborate. My opinion on Tobias Harris is I feel like he can be a really, really good player when he's, has the ball in his hands, when he gets 20-plus shot attempts, because we can see him. He can rack up 30, 35 if he wants to, if he's given the opportunity. But when Simmons and Embiid are out there with him, he only maybe gets 12, 13, 14 shot attempts, and he almost feels like, in my opinion, he's like kind of not knowing his role because we see him out there yesterday getting 22, 23 shot attempts against the Clippers.
And that's a problem because now this is his year and a half into this offense, and
Coaching,
he still doesn't know what a role is. Yeah,
the
I
more
agree
I watch this, and the more I see these players, and it might not have happened if these injuries didn't happen, because we might be saying, okay, Horford doesn't fit, Tobias, but when these guys play by themselves, single-handed, no Embiid, no Simmons out there by himself. We can see when he dominates, like he did a couple weeks ago against the Nets. Embiid, like he did against the Knicks. We saw him dominate. Tobias Harris, when he has the ball in his hands. They can all do special things. we have the players, I believe, but we just need somebody to bring it all together and get the most out of them. Go ahead, Tanner.
You know what, Max? I agree with that because I wasn't sure if it was due to coaching a few weeks ago, but now I agree. It's got to be coaching because look at the Phillies, how we had great players last season. We had a bunch of great players. You look at paper and you're like, this team's going all the way.
Especially the lineup.
Yeah, and then so at the end of the season, we were like, all right, it's got to be coaching, and now we're going to see how that works moving forward to this upcoming season.
Yep.
And that's what I believe where the Sixers are too.
Yeah.
You
Each
got
team-
great players, but you need someone to guide those players.
Make it gel. Because
Yeah.
these guys, like I just said, they've shown their individual talents. We know how special. Even Horford, who he's not going to give you 25 a night,
No.
but he's shown the ability to be successful in this league and play at a high level.
If
And
you
if he's
put
your
him in the right
fourth
position.
guy, I know a lot of people are down on him, and rightfully so. He hasn't played anything like he has in the past. But if we get a coach in here who can bring this team together and show their strengths and have a game plan. That's one thing I feel like people don't know their roles going into the game.
Right.
Even it doesn't matter who you're playing, but Tobias is like, okay, am I going to get 25 shots tonight, or am I going to get maybe 11 shots tonight?
Right.
You know, it's just such a big difference in that. You know, no one really knows, is Embiid going to be dominant down low? Are we going to feed him? Is Simmons going to make him clear out to the perimeter and let me just drive and dunk all night long? Every game is a different type of feel to it, in my opinion. We see every game, okay, Simmons has the night where he's, again, like I just mentioned, dunking and dominating, driving. But Embiid might only have like 12, 15 points. Other games, Embiid will have 37 points, but Simmons might only have like 12 with 9 rebounds, 8 assists. So it's so inconsistent. And I feel like if we get a coach or somebody to guide these players, like you mentioned, Tanner, in order to have some consistency and saying, okay, Embiid, you're going to be here tonight. This is your role on this team.
Right.
You know, somebody's got to take some leadership. And it's too much to ask the players to say, hey, take over, and you're going to be the team leader because they're so young.
Yeah, I was
You know?
about to say, yeah, they're a little too young to be put in that position. So, yeah, you got to have, like I said, an old school guy, old school coach.
Yeah.
That's not going to take no crap off of them. An old school guy that's going to kick their ass every single practice and every single game.
Yeah.
And when I said Tobias underperformed, of course he's had good games and he hasn't been a bad player, but the money we pay him is to be an all-star.
Yep.
And he just hasn't been that guy where we're looking at a long run of games and we're like, oh, I can't wait to see Tobias play tonight. That's just not
That's what
have
we
been
thought
saying.
coming into the
Yeah.
season. I was like, oh, Tobias Harris,
Yeah,
full
all these
season.
Tobias Harris jerseys. There's not really that.
Not a lot of
He's not
hype
what's he
around
there
it.
for.
Yep, not a lot of hype around it. It's definitely, and I agree 100% with that statement. I think he's shown the ability, like I mentioned, to drop 30. But again, it depends on if he's given the opportunity or not. And some nights he is, some nights he isn't.
And some of the shots he takes are just off too. And I've been noticing that too.
Yeah, I think he's at his best when he's in the high post almost. You know, he can shoot. He's shown the ability to, but that's not his go-to strength. I feel like he can drive. He's one of those guys that he doesn't have the talent, as so to speak, as Jimmy Butler, but he has like that mindset, like, okay, I've proven that I can score a lot in this league, and he's kind of what you need to be, or he's what you need to have, a go-to scorer. And again, we all sit here and we're like, man, I wish we had Jimmy Butler, because Jimmy Butler had that mindset. You mentioned the dog in him.
Yes.
Tobias doesn't have that, but what he does have is a good skill set that he can bring to the table, and it's just about, can he have the opportunity in this offense to show that? And some nights he does, some nights he doesn't. We need to find some consistency there. But again, I'm not bailing on this whole thing yet. As far as future years together with this squad
No. I'm not bailing on the entire thing.
process, you know.
Yeah, I'm not bailing on that, but I am concerned. And
Yeah,
there
especially
needs to be
because where we were supposed to be projected as like
Exactly.
a 1 seed or a 2 seed in the East. This is, as being a 5 or 6 is really disappointing.
exactly, and then seriously needs to be some change in the offseason.
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree.
All right.
All right, you want to transition over here? I got some Eagles talk I want to talk to you guys
Yes,
about.
we got some. Woo!
Let me mention a few topics here. One thing I've heard today, just speculation.
All right, go ahead.
Andre Dillard on a trade block. All
I
of a
was just
sudden,
about to talk about that.
some guy on Houston radio mentioned that Andre Dillard might be on the trade block because, like, we all sat here weeks ago on the show and said Jason Peters is done, but apparently Howie Roseman doesn't see it that way.
So, okay, according to Jeff McClain of the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Eagles are not ready to move on from Jason Peters because they believe he can play at a Pro Bowl level, and they also think that Andre Dillard is not at the right level to start at tackle.
Not yet, or what do you think? Not yet, or not as
I
this
guess-
moment, or do you think period he doesn't have the skill
I
set
guess,
to do
you
it?
know what, that one game where he played at right tackle?
Yeah,
and I guess
he didn't play well.
Yeah, and then I guess they're scared about that. But My thing is
He's not supposed to play the right tackle.
Exactly. And then I look at the game against the Bears. And then I look at the game against the Cowboys. My man was going up against Leonard Floyd and Khalil Mack. And he did a pretty decent job. Now, mind you, he didn't go to the level of Jason Peters good, but the kid did an actual decent job. And if he's not ready, he's a first-round stinking pick. If he's not ready to take over that left tackle position, why the hell did we draft him at the left tackle position in the first round?
This would be a really, really bad hit on Howie Roseman's resume, because if we had to get rid of this guy after less than a year, I mean, think about it. It's not even up on a year yet since the last draft.
It's stupid.
And to have to trade him possibly or get rid of him, I mean, we're looking we're in a lot of trouble.
This is new for the Eagles too, because usually we're known for holding on to guys way too long
Yes.
and giving them too much of a chance. But now,
And now you're just going to give up on the kid? No.
yeah. But also, what you brought up about him playing against those all-stars or those Pro Bowlers on defense that he had to play against, that could also be something that other teams are looking at. And although the Eagles don't think that he's the right fit for their team, other teams might think, we'll give the Eagles this for Dillard. Maybe that's the way they're
I'll tell
looking
you
at
what,
business kind of
And
way.
my thing is this. My thing is,
Go ahead.
how long are you going to continue to draft talent and not develop this talent? This is something that I fussed about time and time again. You cannot continue to draft these young players and not play them and not grow them, not mature them, not bring them up in the system. You cannot continue to go out and trade for other teams' players.
See, the one thing I will say, and I'm a football lover. I love football. I watched a ton of it, college, pros. One position that I don't have an eye test for is the offensive line. I can't look at an offensive line and say that guy's a really good tackle, especially the guards. Like for me, I can't is that right guard doing a good job, or is that left guard doing a poor job?
It's very easy to judge the lineman.
It's so easy
when
to
your quarterback gets
It's
hit.
easier for me to judge a wide receiver. Like, okay, that dude can just run past cornerbacks. Okay, draft him. That dude is a stud. A running back, same thing. A tight end, even a D lineman. Fletcher Cox in college, he just would blow by the center and go tackle the quarterback. I mean, those guys you can see with the eye test. Okay, draft them. For offensive linemen, it's different for me.
Yeah, with offensive linemen, what you're looking at arm length. But not only just the physical attributes, but you're also looking at how they use their feet, how they use their hands. How are their hands violent? How quick are they off the snap of the ball?
That's definitely one thing.
Tay, let me ask you this: how much stock do you put in the combine?
The only thing I value, there's only a couple things that I value, and is very little. Like I might look at the 40-yard dash to see really how fast you are, but then that's not really your true speed because you're not in pads.
Exactly.
So I don't view the combine like, okay, anybody.
It's important.
It's important, but any idiot can train for the combine and put up good numbers.
Yeah.
Prime example, we drafted him here in Philadelphia Eagles. What's his name? Mike Muscala? Something like, man, what is his name? I'm forgetting his name, but you guys know what I'm
The
talking
defensive end?
Yeah.
Marcus Smith?
No, not Marcus Smith. It was somebody else earlier. I don't remember his
I
name.
forget.
Yeah, I got to look it
What
up.
position did he play?
He played defensive end. We
Okay.
drafted him. The Philadelphia Eagles drafted him.
And he didn't play well?
No, he blew up the draft. I mean, not the draft. He blew up the combine, and he got drafted really high because he was just an all-out athletic freak. But when he got on the field, he wasn't worth 2 cents.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking
And
about.
that's the thing that I'm talking about.
Let me give you a couple examples here. For me, watching DeJavion Clowney in college, I was like, holy crap. Like, this
Right.
guy's going to be dominant.
I look at film.
You know?
I
Okay, yeah,
got
and that's
film.
and that's part of it. You see his tape and you're like, okay, I'm watching a college game and I'm like, wow, this guy is absolutely insane. Like, draft him. And I'm not like some smart GM, some scout or anything. I can just watch the TV and be like, wow, okay, draft that guy. Then we draft guys like Barnett. Okay, I think apparently you're looking at stats and all, but I'm not watching the Tennessee game and I'm like, holy
Right.
crap, let's draft Derek Barnett.
I mean,
And that's
Barnett
what
was okay in
yeah,
college.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, we got to get guys that, for me personally, we're just, you watch them and you're like, okay, that guy's going to be productive day one for our team. And I feel like the last couple of drafts, almost since we took McCoy, since we took Fletcher Cox, since we took guys like that, I feel like it really hasn't, our draft has kind of been more for potential rather than, okay, look at the draft or look at the college level and be like, okay, that guy's a superstar stud. Let's draft him almost. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. And it's frustrating to me. It truly is.
Some of the spots, for example, like, okay, Brandon Graham, who's been productive in an Eagles uniform, and now I'm just giving you examples. I watched Earl Thomas, and I was like, holy crap, Earl Thomas is going to be a stud. He gets picked right after Brandon Graham. And then I'll go to another example. We took Derek Barnett. Jonathan Allen went right around there, too. he was a defensive tackle from Alabama, and that dude was just dominant in college. And I think Dillard, for example, last year. I'm not saying there was a guy last year in that range that I would have taken.
Jerome McDougal. That was his name.
Okay, Jerome McDougal.
In 2003.
Got it. Oh, I thought you were talking a while back there.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember. I remember a lot.
I believe you. But this year's draft, and we've heard a lot about Henry Ruggs. If we can find a way to get him, please. I mean, the guy is just athletic freak, and I saw him play at Alabama. I can stamp it right now. I'm saying to myself, he can play flat out. Get him on this team.
4.28.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
He'll
me?
be productive day one, and that's guys you need on this team right now. You're not drafting, let's take an offensive lineman. Hopefully we can develop him. We're not talking about development. See, this team's built to win right now, right? As fans, we want Super Bowls. Doug Peterson mentioned this is our time. This is going to be the new norm, so to speak. And I really do need players to come in here, and we just flat out, if we're going to talking about this topic right now, if there's one thing we need to mention, just draft better. Flat out. Just draft better.
I like how Chris just got frustrated.
We're diving in so
Easier said
deep.
It was the
done.
new norm 2 years ago.
We're talking different years, players, positions. Listen, flat out, just draft better. Draft guys that are going to produce day one.
If you're kicking Andre Dillard out the door, what are you doing for left tackle? Because you surely can't bring Jason Peters
We're
back.
definitely bringing Jason Peters back.
If you kick Andre Dillard out, you got to bring
not
back
a good
Jason
idea.
Peters.
Well,
Who else you going to put at the
Chris,
left tackle position?
I don't know.
We're not the-
That's
we're
why
not
I'm saying,
GMs
what
here.
the hell do we do?
I don't know. I don't know what to do in this situation because this is an asinine, stupid position that you're about to put yourself in.
Because I don't see
You-
free
you
agency
didn't
being
even-
a good idea.
yeah.
You didn't
And-
give Dillard a shot for like a full stretch of games, even like 6, 7, 8 game span at left tackle, which is his natural position.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy that was going to retire 2 seasons ago.
Yes. Seriously.
And now all of a sudden,
let's not bring him back.
he can play at a Pro Bowl level.
Like, come on, man.
I don't
Come
know.
on.
about that.
Come on. I hope y'all do have a plan. Like,
We'll
seriously.
see. I'm sure
Just
they do.
looking forward to more penalties on offense, I guess.
Yes.
Taking the ball down.
Let me
That's
mention on the other side of the ball here real fast. Update came out recently about Byron Jones. Eagles apparently willing to offer
All
him
in.
$17 million a year. See, I want to get
We
your
know it's
opinion
hard.
because you watch the tape. I looked at the stats. This guy has only 2 career interceptions for a cornerback, which scares me a little bit. But obviously the corners we have, anybody else would be better.
I was about to
what do
say
you
that.
think bringing in this guy for the amount of money he wants? Is it a good idea? Would you rather see some sort of trade for a different guy?
Okay, outside of the fact that yes, he would be a clear upgrade over anybody that we
Exactly,
have.
that's-
the reason why he only has 2 interceptions is because teams weren't really throwing in his direction.
So is
So
he like a
He's
Jalen
that-
Ramsey
he's
lockdown?
that good of a corner, isn't
No,
he?
I'm not going to say that. So I'm going to call it this, and I just came up with this on the fly. I'm going to call it the Nandi Asamoah effect. So, like I said last week, Nandi Asamoah was a shutdown corner for the Oakland Raiders for many years. Nobody dared to even throw in his direction. It's the same concept with Byron Jones. Oh, by the way, we signed Byron Maxwell during the Chip Kelly era. So he was a product of that whole Legion of Doom. So that's the reason why he got paid as much as he did, even though he really wasn't worth the money. Clearly, he wasn't worth the money. All right, I've never seen a cornerback flail his arms for a blown coverage a day in my life. I've never seen that. Like, he literally just looked lost. He literally would just flail his arms and just be like, hey, coach, I'm lost. Take me off the field. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. But anyway, so $16, $17 million, that disturbs me.
Well, listen, he has 3 forced fumbles, and he's deflected the ball 43 times.
Which is cool.
So then you go to the defensive players can't catch thing, where he has only 2 interceptions, but he's had the opportunity for more.
Yes.
He's at least knocked the ball down.
Yes. And that's what I like. I
And
like the fact
We're
that
talking about 17 in football with a cap space. We are talking about $17 million a year for a cornerback.
Well, when you look at a position that this team really needs to improve on, you look at the cornerback position.
Yes. That is
And
a
We look
this
at a lot
point-
of positions,
At
but
this
yeah,
point,
that's
you're
one of
getting
them.
desperate, and I'm sure we can all speak on how mid-season we were just get someone else in there.
Yes.
Just get anyone that we can get at
we had to,
cornerback.
we had to
were-
deal with Sidney
yeah.
Jones and Russell
We were
Douglas.
talking about getting fans out of the stadium and
Yes.
playing cornerback at that point, and it was
I was
rough.
contemplating losing weight and playing corner. Seriously. Like, it was that bad. But okay, so $16, $17 million, that's hefty for me. For a Byron
Hefty.
Jones.
That's more than hefty, too.
That's expensive. I'm almost ready to lean towards Darius Slay at this point for $16, $17 million. I'll take my chances on Darius Slay.
Wasn't it you last week who said no?
Yes.
towards
It
Darius
was
Slay?
yes. It was until I seen that price range.
Okay.
16, $17 million for a Byron Jones. While yes, he is a decent quarterback, and yes, he would be a better corner than all of the corners that we previously had. I'm not paying him $16, $17 million a year.
This was a year in 2015 when Jones got drafted 27th overall. It was 2015. The Eagles actually that season had the 20th pick. And they took Nelson Aguilar. I was high on Jones. I was high on Jones.
Dumbass.
I was high on Byron Jones. I know he went to Connecticut. I saw the tape, and I thought, okay, at the time, we still needed cornerback help, and I figured he would have been a great fit. He fell a little bit, obviously, to 27.
Yeah, but T, listen.
Trying to ruin our night.
Hey, listen, he's gone. He's going to be gone, so don't worry.
What's up, Tanner?
Well, you're talking about how mad you were that just now the reaction that you had was you would rather have Jones at that point than Aguilar. And well, for anyone, you can't predict the future.
No.
And now Aguilar has a Super Bowl ring with the Philadelphia Eagles, T. And Byron Jones has 0 Super Bowl rings. And Aguilar was a big part of the Super Bowl run.
Thanks to Nick
he
Foles.
So
was.
without Aguilar, we don't know what could have happened.
He was, and I'm not going to deny that. But at the same time, I can still find somebody else to do the same thing Nelson Aguilar did. Probably better. Let's be honest here.
Look, man, I tell you what, I'm just going to quick bump this in here real quick. David Johnson got drafted 86th overall in the 2015 draft out of Northern Iowa, and we took Jordan Hicks 2 picks before him. It just goes to show you that we need to draft better. We need to have better scouting department or
Jordan Hicks in
something.
Arizona right now?
Yeah,
Wow.
because here's the thing. Football, and we're discussing draft classes in different sports here, but football's, you have a 52-man roster?
53.
53-man roster. So you can't just go out and sign a bunch of free agents and make your team work because there's a cap. You have to be able to draft. One
Yes.
thing we haven't been able
Thank
to
you.
do consistently is draft well. And I think that if you're going to spend $17 million on Byron Jones, I think you're just making the wrong decision.
Hey, Eagles organization. Yo.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Seriously.
Exactly. You got to draft. You got to draft better. I'm for sure in this draft. We have picks. We have a ton of them.
Yes.
You can find a guy that has Byron Jones type talent, and
Yes.
you can get him on a rookie contract instead of paying a guy $17.
Yes.
See, this is the thing about Philly sports. Phillies are a perfect example of this. Things aren't going well. We don't have anybody in the farm system. Let's just go start signing guys for $1 billion. Bryce Harper, Andrew
What?
McCutcheon, or Zach Wheeler. We're bringing in guys over $100 million, and I think that just handcuffs us for future trades because no one wants to take our contracts.
Exactly.
I.e., the Sixers at the deadline, no one wants to take the Al Horford contract, no one wants to take the Tobias contract, and it just handcuffs us down the road.
Yes.
So starting this offseason, it could be one of the. I'm not going to say it because it's you could argue this, but it could be the most important draft in Howie Roseman's career.
Like, there needs to be some kind of development, please, within this Eagles
You
organization.
can't waste the
please.
players we have around us right now. Miles Sanders, who's been productive at the end of the last season, and especially Carson Wentz's future here. You got to surround him with talent. You can't waste these prime years of Carson. But I do think that and I wanted to mention this to you guys. We talked about this before. Who do we want to draft in the first round? And we could go any which way here. Usually they don't have a track record of drafting the linebackers high, but we've seen Isaiah Simmons. Not saying he's going to fall into the 20s, but that's just a name that's been thrown out there. I think for me, it always comes down to cornerback and wide receiver. It sounds from the outside noise that they're going to sign or try to sign Byron Jones and draft a receiver.
Right.
Do you agree with that strategy?
Drugs.
I don't have a problem with that. Only if, so from what I hear, because of how good these wide receivers did in the combine, they're going to have to move up in that first round. So long as you grab one of those top wide receivers, then I'm fine with that strategy.
Ruggs.
Yes, that's what I want. I want Henry Ruggs. I was high on Jerry Jeudy until he made that unnecessary Jewish joke that was completely stupid. So yeah, give me Ruggs all day.
I think the best receiver in this draft, CD Lamb. I don't think it's close. I think he's the most talented receiver, and I think if you can go up into maybe pick 12, if you say he falls to 12, I think you got to go up and get him. 'Cause
Yes.
that's a guy you're going to have as either a slot or a deep threat for years to come with his athletic ability. Not saying Jerry Jeudy may be a little bit more polished,
Right.
as a big time threat, like a big time AJ Green type receiver. But I think CD Lamb, with his skill set, his speed,
CeeDee Lamb is nice.
I think, man, he can impact so many ways. Speed and route running and all those things. He checks all the boxes for me.
There's also Jefferson from LSU,
Yes.
who he's not a sexy pick, but he's he's there, and you don't have to go up for him.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of wide receivers this year.
I think there's going to be a lot of movement too with
There
these
are.
quarterbacks that are up there. A lot of trades I think are going to happen.
I think the big thing is they want to move ahead, I believe, of the Broncos because the Broncos are also going to be in the running for a wide receiver as well.
Yeah, I heard about that,
The
too.
plan is to jump ahead of the Broncos and draft whoever they want to draft. But
This is a draft I think we need to move up because we
Yeah.
have a lot of picks in the later rounds too. Package a couple of them. I think this is a draft which you don't see the Eagles do a lot, but I think they usually either stay put or drop back, which we've seen.
I would have assumed that the Washington Redskins, who's up there, would have wanted a receiver, but apparently they're actually looking at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they take Tua.
Which got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my
Will
life.
they take Haskins?
What did I say last year? You're drafting a 19, 20-year-old kid that he's going to need development. You're not just going to – you can't just hand him the keys to a franchise.
Right.
He's still going to need to develop his game. We still don't know what a Dwayne Haskins game is, and yet still you were ready to give up on him. This is the reason why the Redskins are a joke.
A multiple of quarterbacks each season for the Redskins. At one point, it was Mark Sanchez. They had Colt McCoy. Who else? Cousins. They had
lowlifes.
Case Keenum. It was just Alex
was a
Smith.
mess.
What
It was a
happened?
mess.
Is he going to come back? Is he returning?
He's trying
They're
to.
still waiting for him too.
Here's the thing: it's Dwayne Haskins.
I just don't think he's gonna-
He's got the keys, like you said. T. He's got the keys right now, and I think if I'm a Redskins fan, which obviously I'm not, but if I'm sitting here thinking about, okay, do I want to get a guy like Jeff Okudah or Chase Young? I don't know that, and I think they could be making the right decision here, drafting Tua, because the quarterback position is most important, and it's a game changer. Do you really have 100% faith in Dwayne Haskins when you can get a guy that you might like more in Tua? I think you have to go get Tua. I know Chase Young. I get it. He's arguably the best player as a whole in this
Yeah.
draft. So it's
I would
going to be
take a
tough.
Chase Young.
But do you want to get him on defense and then still have Haskins and you're still kind of mediocre, or do you want to have a guy that can take you to the next level like
Well,
Tua?
like I said, it's going to take some. Dwayne Haskins is going to take some development. Now, for me personally, I'm not that high on Tua. I'm not.
I'm high on Tua. We
I'm
have different
not.
opinions here.
It's-
I'm not high on Dwayne Haskins.
There's times where
No,
There's
no.
times.
I saw him in college.
No,
T.
well,
T,
no, no.
Listen, he threw
Dwayne
the
Haskins is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you because of the simple fact that he's young and I think he needs development. But I'm not high on Tua because there were games where, yes, he would be dominant. And then there were some times where he would make a throw and I would raise my eyebrow. I'm like, dude, that was a clear
I
overthrow.
think, and this is my
Have
opinion.
you watched Dwayne Haskins play
Yeah, I
in the
have.
NFL?
It's almost similar.
T.
I
I
said
think,
almost.
in my opinion, that Tua is the best. Or I should say, I think he's the best quarterback. But I think he should be going ahead of Joe Burrow, in my opinion.
I'm gonna
That's
go
just
that
not going to
far.
happen because of
Yeah, that's
injury.
not gonna
I
happen.
agree, but I think when this is all said and done, and I said this a couple years, few times I've been kind of right about quarterbacks, I said that Josh Allen will be the best. Remember that class a couple years back? They had Josh Rosen, there was Baker. I thought Josh Allen was going to be the best quarterback out of that class, and so far he's been right up there.
Man, I was
that's
wrong
ludicrous.
about that class because I said Josh Rosen was going to be
Yeah.
the next big thing,
Yeah.
and boy was I wrong.
Oh boy.
It's all right. We all have our
You know, we
downfalls
can't
a
all
little bit.
predict the future.
I do think. Does anybody else agree? Chris, or Tanner,
I see
who
your
do you
point. You're saying that
I think
due
Tua's
to the fact that Tua got injured, someone's gonna
Oh, yeah.
kind of get away with getting
The
Tua.
most talented
Yeah.
quarterback, I think, is Tua, in my opinion. I know Joe Burrow with the touchdowns and all this and that, the national title, the ring that he's got. I get it. 100% agree. The best team last year, flat out, was LSU. We all know that. But I think if you're talking this class and we're talking 10 years down the road, who's got the brightest future, I think Tua has the best skill set.
You can convince me of that. You can honestly convince me of that because I think Joe Burrow just has too much of that. Tag. What? He has too much of that. Too much
I think
arrogance.
he's too
to him.
cocky.
Yeah, he got too much arrogance.
Now, if you're a
to him.
smart team, and this is just me thinking a little bit ahead here, if you're a smart team, do you say
he has too much of that Baker Mayfield effect.
I agree. I see what you're saying. But listen, I think if you're a team 5, 6, 7 this year, if you can get, maybe I know teams are going to want to move up here. If you can get a lot of draft capital, maybe move down a couple spots. Maybe Chase Young falls to 3, 4. You never know. You take Chase Young, you let all these teams get their quarterback, you tank like crazy next year, and you get Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall the following season.
All right.
What do you think? Trevor Lawrence, and you have Chase Young.
Man, Trevor Lawrence, that's my boy right there.
If I'm a GM, that's what I'm thinking right now. Because, these quarterbacks, it's kind of a toss-up. Joe Burrow could be the next big thing. Tua could be the next big. Even Justin Herbert, they're saying. Jordan Love.
The thing is with Joe Burrow is he only had that one season of success.
Yes.
Whereas with Trevor Lawrence, he actually has a record of success.
I have a future fear that Trevor Lawrence is going to go to the Patriots.
Well, here's the thing.
my-
As a
I'm not-
Patriot, I
I'm not
don't
even
know.
kidding. I was just thinking
I'm
that.
sick of this.
I don't think so because the
just thinking
Patriots
that.
are always going to be good, and he's going to be number 1 overall.
What?
You know,
So are you banking on Tom Brady staying with the Patriots?
I'm banking on
The rumors are
No, I'm not
it's
banking on
not
Tom
looking
Brady.
too hot.
But I'm saying this is just me thinking. I'm thinking ahead as a GM here. Like if I'm the Redskins, am I saying, okay, let me get Chase Young. These guys are all going to take Herbert. They're going to take Love. Okay, let's tank this year, and then boom, you get your franchise quarterback and Trevor Lawrence, and then you build around him from there.
Hey,
It's
guys.
just an idea.
Hey guys, real quick, because I did promise Chris some Flyers time. So
He did.
Real quick, this Alshon Jeffrey report came out apparently where
Another Alshon report.
According to Philly Inquirer, once again, Jeff McClain, if there was anyone who thought the receiver would return next season, the combine wasn't the place to go searching for that. While there may never be any proof that he was behind the anonymous quotes, many inside the Novacare complex believe he was the source. Shortly after report, a prominent player on the offense confronted Jeffrey to the point where they had to be separated.
Had to have been Lane Johnson.
I agree. It's either Lane Johnson or Jason Peters. One of the two. Those are the only individuals I can think of.
Well,
honestly.
maybe Jason Kelsey too.
See, Kelsey's not.
I don't know why everybody's so out on Alshon Jeffrey. This guy we're talking
He's
about.
still talented.
I get the fact that he's caused problems, and
And
listen,
that's the
big problem. See, 100%. But as a fan, well, that's what we are. We're not GMs here. I know we like to think like we're the GMs, but as
What's
a
the
fan,
problem now?
As a fan, I'm not sold on Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah,
Still.
I'm not.
I
think-
mean, he barely. We talked about it last show. He hasn't played a lot when he's, in games. He's
been
for
injured.
a couple plays in that first half, and then he disappears, and you don't see him the rest of the game.
Right.
if we don't get a receiver, we have to get a receiver. And here's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And this is because of the fact that if you let Alshon go or trade him, you got to get another receiver, and that needs to be through the draft. Because as these rumors come out, it looks like they want to sign defensive guys and draft offensive talent, like receiver, for example. So, Chris, let's go. Flyers.
Real quick.
We want to dive in here real quickly.
Apparently, Nick Foles is on the trading block. What
Oh, yeah.
What do we do?
So
Nick Foles is on the
apparently-
trading block?
Yes.
Oh,
They
man.
want to start. They want to start Minshew Gardner.
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner
Okay.
Minshew.
Jeez, every
Go
time,
on.
man. Poor guy.
T, I thought you did it on purpose
He'll
this
have
time.
he'll have to get into the playoffs for you to finally
About
get
damn
his name.
time.
So apparently, they want to trade Nick Foles and they want to start him.
Hey, I take them back as long as they keep all that money.
Absolutely
Keep-
not. I don't want him.
Keep all that.
him.
Whoa, let's go with. What do you?
What are you ridiculous
No.
for, T?
Whoa.
T, listen.
Absolutely
let's-
not.
Remember how Tanner brought up the fact that Nelson Aguilar has a Super Bowl ring? Who
I don't
was
care.
responsible for that?
T, you
Who put him
promise.
in a position?
You
I'm not
promise
going through
Flyers
this with you
talk.
again.
We can't because this is going to take us to the end of the show.
I agree.
We're going to save the Nick Foles chatter for next week.
Yeah.
When
Yes.
he's an Eagle again.
Well, don't get T irritated too
Thank
much.
you.
All right, let's just
Was
relax
that
here.
Alshon at 6 for Nick
There's-
Foles? He's not your cup of.
I think that T and Tanner need to start getting on the Flyers bandwagon because they're
missing out.
quietly.
They
Hey,
are
I like
missing out.
hockey.
You know what? I'm
They're
gonna be
missing
honest
out.
with y'all. So yesterday, I took my family out to an infamous restaurant down South Philly, and I was actually watching the Flyers game, and I was thoroughly entertained. I'm serious. I was thoroughly entertained. Now
They have won.
I don't understand why Carter Hart gave up. A couple of
Whoa,
those
whoa,
goals.
okay. No.
How my man's give up? How my man's give?
Here we
How
go.
he give
Just
up
gonna
a goal?
come into a screaming match here.
How he give up
Hey,
a goal?
listen, I'm the
30
only
seconds
one.
into
I'm
a
the
power
only one
play.
here that's met Carter
Yeah,
Hart.
I know.
Who can
Jerk, I
scream
know.
louder? Who can scream louder, Chris or T?
Well, Chris controls the board. So,
I do, so I can shut him up.
Yeah, that's
Let's
true.
dive into the
Do
specifics.
not-
Far 6
do not
wins.
talk ill of Carter Hart.
Listen,
All
listen.
right.
6 wins for the Flyers. 6 losses in a row for the Penguins.
Which is, yeah.
Been a big swing of things
Quit
in the
yucking my
standings.
yum.
Number 2 seed in the Metropolitan Division right now. Chris,
Now-
I know you got a lot to say. I just want to say
Well,
this to
dude, a
start
lot of people are hyping up the Flyers like almost too
I
much
know.
that it's scaring me.
It scares me
I'm
a
not
little
even
bit.
kidding. I don't even wear it. It was probably from Vegas. They released their odds for who's
Yeah.
going to win the cup. Literally, the Flyers are at the top of the league right now. I'm like, whoa, okay, hold
Here's,
on.
hear you.
There's 3 key factors, and I'm gonna let you dive into it because I know you're a big Flyers guy. I want
Okay.
3 key factors to the season that we're having right now.
Okay.
Number 1, the head coach.
100%.
100% the head coach is one of the main reasons why we're dominating. Whatever he's doing behind the scenes really changed our mindset because we only brought in really one main different guy here, and that's Kevin Hayes, which leads me to my second point, Chris. Kevin Hayes is the one guy.
jerk!
Kevin Hayes is the one guy it seems as though we were missing. We have Giroux. These guys for over a couple years now
Alain
have been here.
Yeah, Alain
Kevin
Vigneault-
Hayes comes in, boom. He's worth every penny we're paying him so far. He's worth every penny we're paying him.
Alain
He's
Vigneault
dominated so
and
far for
Kevin
us.
Hayes did have a coach-player relationship for 5 years before, and
that's
know
my
what?
second. That's my second point. Here's my
Yes.
third one. I'm gonna let you go. My third point that leads me to is the general manager / defense that has been a part of this team. Getting Justin Braun in the offseason,
Yes.
trading for Matt Niskanen, and that goes hand in hand with the GM because he has to make a trades to do so. And that is my third point. Those are the three keys, in my opinion,
And-
that have led the Flyers to this much success.
And
this
you
year.
know what? I know.
Floor
that-
is yours. Floor is yours.
Look, I know. Like last summer, because you asked me, you were like, dude, I'm not sure about this Radko Gudas trade because look, last year he was the Flyers' best defenseman easily. Matt Niskanen has put Ivan Provorov in his happy place because look, if the Flyers are going to have success, Ivan Provorov, in my opinion, is probably the second most important player on this team because
Could argue.
when
Could
you get
argue
deeper
that.
and deeper into the playoffs. He is going to easily play close to a half hour, maybe even more than that, a game. And
He's on the ice a lot.
yes, more than any other player. And he is going to have to play solid. And Matt Niskanen is like the perfect defensive partner for him.
He's
I would
perfect.
appreciate if you turn my soundboard back on.
The
you know what?
veteran
I'm going to need you to
leadership.
shut the hell up.
The veteran leadership Niskanen brings. And I said this when we had this conversation when Gudas got traded.
Yeah.
Gudas, again, he'll bring that energy for you, but Niskanen's just such a pure veteran. He knows how to
Oh,
win.
yeah.
With his time in Washington.
There was a quote Kevin Hayes had a couple days ago. He said, I played against him for like 5 or 6 years. I never realized how good he was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, arguably, I would say probably second best defenseman on this team behind Ivan Provorov. And man, look,
Myers has been low key nice
Myers-
too, man.
Myers has been probably the best breakout player this year for the
Solid.
Flyers.
And what was that? What did I say in the offseason? I said we got our goalie, and I was trying to build forward because
Yeah,
we had our
exactly.
talented offense.
That-
Well, I sit here on the show and said we need defense.
That was-
because those guys are the key. They can help
yeah.
play defense, obviously, and then help Carter Hart even more.
That was the same mentality Ron Hextall had when developing this team. Because look, I feel like Ron Hextall got a little shafted when he got fired being the general manager. Because the reason was because the owners went to him and said, "Look, you're taking too long. We need to be competitive now." And Ron Hextall said, "No." He was fired. And look, suddenly, the fruits of Ron Hextall's honestly
is
genius
this turning into a Sam Hinkie comparison? Sam Hinkie gets fired, builds it from the ground up, and then all of a sudden, here comes Elton Brand, and we all know Colangelo stepped in there for a little bit too. But
Yeah.
no, it's been a
this is
fun ride so
different.
far.
Oh yeah, dude, and I'm holding the bandwagon door open because, dude, it's more fun when bandwagons.
Yeah, you two want to hop on? I know neither of
Hop
you
on.
watched a single Flyers game this season, but
Oh,
He's got- he
I
wants-
just
Play,
said
play
I
that.
watched.
That's not true. Soundbite.
Yeah, I wish I could, but damn it,
don't
Chris,
even
turn my
start.
soundboard
The last
back
two
on.
times you guys
Well, look,
cut the show off early because you two had no interest in
It's just
talking
the fact
Flyers.
that
Remember-
not everyone wants to listen to hockey.
Remember,
Now all of a sudden,
remember
oh, the
and hey, I
Flyers.
get it. It's a niche sport, but you know what? Give me my 5 minutes.
No,
And we
that's
gave it to
perfectly
you.
fine,
Now please
Chris.
turn my soundboard back
No,
on.
shut up. Because look, remember how last week Max had to scold you for going
Max
crazy?
scolds me all the time. You think I care?
You're doing so well today. Let's end on a good note.
Yeah.
Let's end on a good note.
All right. Well,
But definitely this Wednesday they play Washington. It'll be a really good gauge to see where they're at.
I'm nervous about this game, man. I really want to win. I'm starting to get excited.
Dude, last time they were in Washington, they won 7-2. I'm not saying they're going to do it again. But
It's huge. We both had a couple days off here.
Yep.
And now you definitely start Carter Hart in net.
Oh, yeah, you have to. You have to.
And I'm trying to figure out here because Washington beats the Minnesota Wild last night. I was really hoping the Wild could
Oh, yeah.
get a W, but they lose 4-3.
Yep.
So now that gives Washington a 3-point cushion. They have 86. We have 83.
Mm-hmm.
Penguins are just on a line. They're
They-
just
are they
falling
fourth
apart.
place? Fourth place, if I'm not mistaken.
Who?
Penguins.
Penguins
Third.
are now
Third.
in the Metropolitan Division.
come
Are
on,
now
third.
third.
Yeah,
So
that was close.
Know your
that-
hockey.
this West Coast trip for them was terrible. Really bad
yeah.
West Coast trip for the Penguins.
6-game losing streak. Keep it up.
Yes, keep it up. Keep it up,
And,
Sid. Keep it up.
Dude, next week is not this week. Next week is going to be a really big week just because they play against Boston, best team in the league statistically.
Yeah.
And then right after that they play Tampa, who in my opinion is the best team in the league. Both of those games are going to be huge.
Now, I know Tampa and Boston play each other coming up. I'm not 100% sure when. I know it's in the next day or two, but that's going to be really fun. I want to ask your opinion. Is Tampa Bay the best? Because I look at them and I think Tampa, they could be I know they're not points-wise, but they're dangerous. Stamkos is now going to miss a couple weeks here.
Stamkos is now out, but dude, Kucherov, Braden
Oh,
Point,
Kucherov is insane.
Victor Hedman, in my opinion, is probably like top 5 best defenseman in the league.
Now, Lightning arguably were the best team last year. They get bumped in the first round. Could that repeat this year?
No,
Too good,
because
right?
they made a couple trades to really bulk up, they're not going to let that happen again. Vasilevsky, in my opinion, is the best goalie in the league,
Point.
too. Braden Point, dude. That guy's nuts.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
And Kucherov.
Kucherov, dangerous.
Like I said, that's the only team I don't think the Flyers could beat in a
Points
seven-game
wise,
series.
I think right now St. Louis out west is the best out there,
Yes.
and then east is Boston. So you really, like you said, I'm getting so much hype now because of the winning streak of Flyers. They're saying, man, maybe a cup win possibly. I want to pump the brakes there.
Okay, so the reason behind that is because the Rangers, before these 2 games against the Flyers, they were on a 9-game winning
Mm-hmm.
streak, and everyone's talking about look how good the Rangers are. They went from nothing to now.
They were hot coming
now
into Philly a couple nights ago, and we
Yep.
beat them 2 in a row.
and we knocked them back to reality.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll stay there because we developed a nice cushion over ourselves in the division standings as well as the conference because now we're up a little bit on the Islanders, we're up a little bit on the Carolina Hurricanes, so we're in a good spot. I think we're definitely making the playoffs, but I just want to keep this 2 or 3 seed because I don't want to run into the Boston Bruins in the first round, for example,
No.
as the second wild card. I got to stay
Yep.
pat, keep the course here.
Oh, yeah.
Take advantage of home ice, man. Home ice would be insane.
Hell,
that would
yes.
be great. All right, let's shut it down, T.
Whoa.
T.
Before we shut down, I'd just like to congratulate our Mustangs for being the Region 19 2020 champions.
Oh, that's right. Nice regional victory.
Real
regional
impressive
tournament.
team this season. These guys have a bright future ahead of them, and they're still rolling. They still got some,
National
more,
tournament coming up in Minnesota.
More things to win.
Congrats.
Shout out to them. Congrats.
Yes.
It was a fun season so far. Tanner and I have gotten to do a couple broadcasts down there.
And
That's right.
Listen,
Dude, you guys do a hell of a job.
Yes,
Appreciate that.
if you guys want to know some A+ broadcasting, seriously, look no further than those 2.
That's
Seriously.
been very thanks, Tay. Appreciate that.
Follow Max and look at his profile. The game's right there in his bio.
Right in the bio. Tanner Gills on the Instagram.
That's
Max
right.
_
Yes.
Gretz on the Instagram.
All right.
So check the bio, guys. It's great. It'd be great to get the viewership up. It's a lot of fun. Good luck to the Mustangs in
Yes.
the national tournament title run. Hopefully they can make some hay.
Yes. And listen, you guys missed any of this episode, you can always go to Philly-Experience. That's simplecast.com. Available on all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, everywhere where you can download episodes. Chris, you ever shut off my sound bites again? I kid you not.
I can shut off your mic.
You know what? It's just, you know what?
I'm not putting up with it. It's too much horse shit. It's too much.
I'm not. I'm sick of you.
All right, everybody. Next Monday. 4
That's
to
it.
5.
It's me and you.
Enough is enough. Start playing with the.
Gotta circumcise the mosquito. Stay thirsty, my friend.
I want to see people rip their heart out of their fucking chest.